to another episode of That's What She Said. I'm your host, Amanda Bryan, energetic mentor, bio-emotional healer, and someone who loves blending tarot, mediumship, and astrology into my work. I'm also a massage therapist, a Reiki practitioner. And I also just opened a brand new studio here in Merrimack, and I've been beefing up the schedule. So there's truly something for everyone. It's a small, intimate space where each class focuses on energy healing and body healing through yoga, meditation, and connection. Starting in September, every Sunday from 10 to 11 a.m. will be Sacred Stillness with me. Wednesday evenings from 6 to 7 is Sacred Stillness with Tammy. And we have a bunch of classes and workshops that are starting to trickle on the schedule. So you can check out the full schedule and get more at amanda@amandabryanTherapy.com or sonoyoga.com. And I just want to pause and say thank you. Your support means the world to me. As we wrap up summer and step into fall, I really feel like I'm bearing the fruits of my labor. It's been a season of big changes for me, personally and professionally, and I'm finding so much gratitude in each one. I actually was just at this really cute local shop in Londonderry. I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but she has a salt cave there, and I was thinking it would be really nice to hold like a yoga class or a healing session in the salt cave. So, look out for that. But after I made my purchase, she invited me to pick from a gratitude jar, and I did. And it was like these cute little rolled up pieces of paper. And as I unrolled my paper on my way to my car and read it, it was about finding gratitude in every moment. And sometimes that can be really challenging. I know I struggle with it. If you've found a way to not struggle with gratitude in every single moment, especially the hard ones, please let me know and we can do an episode on it. But I feel like that's where the magic is. That's where the medicine is. Like when we want to give up, we don't. We just keep putting our best foot forward. We keep putting out the things that we want to see, even if it feels like wave upon wave is crashing down on us of what we don't want. We just have to get up and keep pushing forward. And so I hope that you're taking a moment this season as we transition today, September 1st, to honor the work you've put in and to savor the harvest of your own efforts. Think about the seeds that you planted back in the spring and what bore fruit, like what worked out really well for you, what started to grow but didn't make it. What did you learn? What are you going to try differently next spring? And so this actually brings me right into today's episode because the theme of harvest, of stepping into your power, reminds me of something bigger happening collectively. And I feel like we're entering into this like collective Lilith era where women are getting stronger physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and we're refusing to play small anymore. We're taking up space. I mean, for the first time since the 70s, we can like survive on our own, right? Like we can have our own credit cards, we can have our own businesses, like we can wear pants. Like it wasn't that long ago that those things were possible, right? As my teenager would say, it was in the mid 1900s. It's really a time of empowerment. So I'm kind of blending a few different things here. So I want to title this episode Lilith Rising. So women reclaiming their power. And I want to talk to you about who Lilith is. So let's start with her. She's one of those names. Some people may have heard of her, especially if you've had your birth chart read. And there's kind of like this dark undertone, like maybe like a shiver attached to it. Some people have no idea who she is. So hopefully I can help clear that up for you today. In Jewish and Christian traditions, she's been painted as a demon, like very dangerous, sexual, wild, and untamable. Pre-Mesopotamian, ancient Mesopotamian times, she also characterized as someone to be feared. She was seen as a seductress, but she had two kind of things that stand out the most to me in that time. Is one, she was seen as a baby killer. And this was the kind of roots back to like being Adam's first wife. So like put a pin in that for a second. She was also seen as the reason to blame in Jewish tradition for wet dreams, because it was a sin to spill seed outside of your wife. So she has a lot of these kind of dark and scary theologies about her. But really, but also she's of like the fed up woman. Like she's like, ladies, like we can let her shit go. But oftentimes, like that's a part of us that we also have to honor and that we have to integrate into who we are day to day. Otherwise, if we suppress it, right, we like tend to put our crazy pants on, which is actually another. That's like me saying that is actually such perfect irony, because yes, we can put on everybody can put on their crazy pants on, but women are labeled as typically more emotional. And I'm going to get into why that's actually bullshit. And I'm calling Uno reverse on it. Okay, so Lilith has carried a pretty rough reputation through history. Again, in Jewish traditions, she was blamed for men's wet dreams because it was considered a sin to spill seed outside of marriage. And again, instead of taking responsibility for their own bodies, men projected that lack of control onto a woman. And like, go figure, right? Lilith became the scapegoat. She was also, again, accused of being a baby killer, but that's really a blending of myths. Some traditions connected her with young maidens who died before having children. The story was that Lilith, or the spirits, would steal men's seed in the afterlife in an attempt to conceive. In Christian mythology, Lilith shows up as Adam's first wife. She refused to be submissive, fled Eden, and when angels came to drag her back, she still refused. So the punishment was cruel. They vowed to kill her children. And that turned into an eye for an eye narrative where she was said to take infants or laboring mothers in retaliation. So in order to protect against her, family used incantation bowls and charms meant to ward her off. So yeah, she's been painted as everything from a seductress to a child killer, all because she refused to lie down, to shut up, and to obey. So when she was Adam's first wife, her and Adam were created both from the earth. They procreated, had all of these children, and she was like, just was for eons stuffing down her needs, her desires, her anger, her everything, right? She just kept showing up as the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect whatever, right? Like hoping and praying and just like holding on to that faith that things were going to get better. And then they didn't, right? Because Adam wanted her to be submissive, and it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back, and she lost her shit. Like laughed, was like, I don't even want to be here anymore. I'm done. Like I wiped my hands clean of all this bullshit. And so she leaves Eden. Again, those angels try to drag her back. She refuses. She will not come back. And so that's where they say, we're going to kill all of your children. And she's like, okay, samesies. And then the angels went back, and Adam went to God and was probably a little whiny. And so God made Eve from Adam's rib so that she would be submissive. So Lilith really has just been the archetype of a woman who was like tired of stuffing down her truth. Like just done, right? Like, like you're just done. And she finally snapped. I'm like, do you remember the show Snapped? I think there was like a show called Snapped where women like literally snapped. Before patriarchy rewrote her story, Lilith was the first woman. She was created from the same thing as Adam. And when Adam tried to dominate her, she refused. She said, I'm not going to lie beneath you. So ran away. Like the story is that she was banished, but like also like she was kind of banished and like walking away with her middle finger up. Like, I don't even want to be here. So she was rewritten as scriptures have been told, and right, they change hands as time goes on. So she ends up being rewritten as the monster under the bed. But to me, oh, Lilith, I'm in my Lilith right now. To me, Lilith represents the very energy of resistance, the refusal to shrink, the refusal to contort yourself into a smaller version so someone else feels comfortable. I don't know about you, but I've done this for a very, very, very long time. I think as a female, girls are very much taught um, to play small, to put others first, to be the caretakers, right? Like we come into the world with that stigma, and we play it out for a very long time until one day, right, we snap, and then all shit hits the fan. I was also about the book Who Cooked the Last Supper from Rosalind Miles. So in it, quote, for most human history, women were the chief producers, preservers, and preparers of food. In that power lay their prestige. Women were once seen as creators, like before all the bullshit, right? Like we were once seen as the ones who literally sustained life. There was the thought that souls just kind of moved through the breeze and the trees and would like boom end up in a woman's womb, right? That seems pretty fucking magical. But the moment that men realized their role in reproduction was that sperm had a part to play, the story shifted. Suddenly, women were no longer sacred. We were seen as vile, disgusting. We were sent away when we were menstruating. We were cast as impure, untrustworthy, even vile. So Lilith went from creator to demon, and yet she survives because we carry her in us. Because, like I like to think maybe, we're still her daughters. Some of us have that drive that, like, it feels so uncomfortable to not speak our truth. It's suffocating, right? I wonder, like, what our past lives may have been. Like, maybe we've had times where we've tried to play small. Maybe we've always been like this, like every lifetime, like just hung every time for speaking our truth. All right, I want to get into something that I'm loving right now. So I want to talk about women's physical power. So, like, let's blend Lilith into the present. So Lilith lives in us when we strengthen our bodies, when we take up that space, and when we stop apologizing for existing. I was at CrossFit this morning and I was in between two 20-year-olds. And let me tell you, I was like beaming ear to ear, thinking about and seeing, right, these strong young women, these strong women who are physically strong, who are mentally strong, who are like, right, they are able to push through some serious discomfort and to show strength in so many different areas. I mean, it's just, I've always like been very into health and wellness. I've always liked working my body and trying different modalities. And I love, like, my heart lands with CrossFit because the strength that it builds, like the muscles, like us ladies, muscles, it's like one thing. And like, do you, boo, right? Do you do what you want to do? I think you're beautiful no matter what. Me personally, in my human opinion, which everybody has one and they all smell like assholes, so who cares? But it's so easy to go get Botox. Okay, I said it. Oh, I'm sorry. Right? It's so easy to do some of these certain things. It's hard to build muscle. It's hard to show up. Like when you see a woman that has those muscles, she has put so much time into her body. And like you see that and you just know you are dealing with a powerhouse on so many levels. So for me, lifting weights has been one of the most empowering things I've ever done. Not because I want to compete with men on their terms, right? I know that's like a big deal, I think. I don't know if like people care as much of women being in men's sports, but I know it's a really big deal for men to be in women's sports. So I'm not trying to do that. I just love the way that strength feels. I know that if like, I feel like I've got enough pent up rage that if someone tried to take me, I would be just fine. But like now I know I could hold my ground. Like the confidence seeps into every part of my life. And here's the thing, science, which I love, is finally catching up to what women have always known. In Kat Bohannon, in her incredible book Eve, says the female body is not a lesser version of the male body. It is its own evolutionary masterpiece. Women's bodies are built with endurance, with resilience, and studies show that we often recover faster, resist fatigue better, and tolerate pain more effectively. We literally live longer than men on average because our systems are designed for longevity and survival. So when I say strength, I don't just mean muscles, I mean the biology of endurance that runs through our veins. The quiet, consistent, unshakable strength that patriarchy never wanted us to see. I can't tell you how many women I hear say they're doing so much more than the men in their lives, that their buckets are overflowing while their partner's buckets barely seem half empty. And I get it. I used to feel that imbalance and unfairness too. But when I read Who Cooked the Last Supper and realized women have always carried the heavy load, we are literally designed to do the work of holding communities together. And studies and history shows societies thrive when women are in charge, and they tend to fall apart when we're not. You can see this in history and even in the present day. I'm going to totally say this wrong. The Musou people in China, sometimes called the Kingdom of Women, still live in a system where women head households and property passes down through their mothers. I'm going to botch all of these, so I apologize in advance. The Minangkabau in Indonesia are 4 million people, and this is the largest matrilineal society in the world. They inherit land and family names through women, and their culture is remarkably stable. The Iroquois Confederacy here in North America gave women, known as clan mothers, the authority to choose and even remove male chiefs. These communities never collapsed. They didn't collapse. They thrived. So instead of only getting frustrated with our men and with our spouses, we can hold on to a bigger truth. Yes, women often do more. Yes, we carry more, but that's not weakness. It's design. It's been this way since the beginning of time, or so it seems. And I want to be very clear here. This is not a dig on men. I like to throw in jokes. I do totally respect those strong, masculine, divine masculine men who show up every single day for women. Some men are secure enough in themselves to honor and respect women, to uplift us, to celebrate our strength rather than fear it. Men like Barack Obama, Jimmy Carter, Jon Stewart, or even the everyday dads and the partners who just show up fully. These are the real men, right? These are the good guys. They remind us that allyship exists, that partnership is possible. Because when I zoom out and I look out into the world, so much of our struggle, patriarchy, racism, homophobia, really does trace back to the same root: fear of feminine energy. If we could just take the boot off of feminine energy, restore her balance and power, I truly believe everything else would start to shift. And why not try it at this point? Because what else do we have? Okay, so earlier I mentioned how we like to slip our crazy pants on one leg at a time. In all honesty, though, it's shown that women thrive under pressure. We've been told forever that women are too emotional, too fragile to handle pressure, but research shows the complete opposite. In business, in sports, in crisis situations, women often perform better under high stakes. Bohannon puts it this way in her book Eve: human mothers evolved to survive stress, scarcity, and danger while still nurturing offspring. To call that fragile is absurd. And mic drop, nailed it. Exactly. Our biology was shaped to keep communities alive in the hardest of times. That's not weakness. That's literally the ultimate strength. So when people say, oh, women can't lead, they're too emotional, I do like a crazy laugh, because our emotion isn't a liability. It's the reason we adapt, the reason we endured, and the reason that we rise under pressure. Specifically, or for example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, countries that were led by women, especially those showing empathy and clear communication, often had better outcomes. And studies demonstrate that female leaders were perceived as more trustworthy during crisis when they exhibit relational behaviors like empathy and connections. So let's compare this to, I don't know, the leadership style like Donald Trump's, marked by emotional volatility, impulsive tweets, and unpredictability. His emotionally reactive approach didn't inspire stability. It created fragmentation. That's how badly misapplied emotion in leadership can ripple outward. And speaking of emotion, let's talk about the infamous fainting. So my daughter asked me the other day, she didn't ask me, she told me that women once like in like the, I don't know what century it was, fainted on purpose to appear attractive. So of course I had to fact check this. And there is, just like with all quote unquote conspiracy theories, the myth has a grain of truth behind it. So in the Victorian era, fainting was so common that many homes had designed fainting rooms. It was chase-like couches for recovery. And often it wasn't a performance because their corsets were so tight that it restricted their breathing and blood flow. So like the cultural narrative turned it into proof of feminine fragility, which is the exact narrative we're reclaiming and flipping on its head today. Again, we were like trying to be small and wearing these corsets that were actually taking the breath away from us. Wowzers. Okay, so for fun, let's touch on Donald Trump's emotional leadership and its ripple effects. His leadership has been marked by volatility, emotional outbursts, and impulsive decision making. These emotional reactions have trickled down, creating a climate of uncertainty and fear. And it showed how emotionally reactive leadership can destabilize under systems, contrasting starkly with emotional, intelligent, steady female leadership. Like the proof is in the pudding. You can compare these societies. You can see what's thriving, what's working, and what's not. And when women are in these positions of power, in these leadership roles, more for communities are going to be done. And when communities are thriving, that's when everything else, right? Crime goes down, drug use goes down, people want to work, they get to work. So I want to kind of switch gears here into like the historical echoes, like Amazons and the forgotten power. When I talk about women's strength, I don't just mean in theory or in math. We've got real documented history showing women stepping onto the battlefield, fighting shoulder to shoulder with men, and sometimes even leading them. Like, talk about these women being in their Lilith era. And maybe part of this is, like, we've always kind of ebbed and flowed in collective consciousness with Lilith. If that's the case, we are certainly flowing into Lilith from what I'm feeling, from what I think. But okay, back to it. So let's take the Vikings. For centuries, historians dismissed the idea of shield maidens as legend, but right, because like what girls would be on the field? In 2017, DNA testing confirmed that a high-ranking warrior buried in Birka, Sweden, a grave packed with weapons, horses, and war strategy pieces, was a woman. They're constantly trying to just right side of history, ladies. For hundreds of years, they assumed it had to be a man because the burial screamed powerful general. Turns out, it was a woman commanding troops. That completely rewrote what we thought we knew about Viking culture. Or take the Dahomey Amazons in West Africa. This was an all-female regiment. Thousands of women trained as elite soldiers who fought in wars through the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries. They were so feared that French soldiers called them the most terrifying woman they had ever seen. These women weren't sidekicks. They were on the front line. And let's not forget, the Iroquois Confederacy that right here in America. While women weren't necessarily wielding swords, they wielded something just as powerful: authority. Clan mothers chose the male chiefs and had the power to strip them of their titles if they abused their leadership. Imagine how different our politics would look if women still had that held that kind of authority and who got to lead, right? Like if there were some of us in there that was like, that's enough. That's enough. No more of that. I think we'd be better off. And in even more recent history, women actually disguised themselves as men to fight in the American Civil War. Historians estimate hundreds did this, cutting their hair, binding their chests, marching into battle. And in World War II, women resistance fighters across Europe were smuggling weapons, blowing up train tracks, carrying messages under constant threat of execution. What these stories tell us is that when women are allowed, or even when they aren't allowed but push their way in anyway, societies don't crumble. They adapt. They grow stronger. Fragility is not in our history. Power is, and it's time that we reclaim it. And Lilith isn't the only echo of this power. The Amazons, those fierce warrior women of Greek myth, were long dismissed as legends, but archaeology tells us another story. Burial sites show women interred with weapons, battle wounds healed on their bones. Real life women warriors existed. And in Who Cooked the Last Supper, Rosalind Miles writes, once woman was reared as the life giver, the maker of the future. Only later did she become the handmaiden of man. So it's important to remember fragility is not our history, strength is. And maybe we are supposed to ebb and flow between these two spaces. I'm not sure, but it does seem to go a lot better when we are flowing into our Lilith, when we are embodying our power. Strength is leadership. Creation is. Like, our history shows us we're not fragile, we're strong, we're leaders, and we're creators. The disempowerment came later when the stories were rewritten to serve the patriarchy. It's about respect. Men don't need to protect us anymore. What we need is camaraderie, partnership, mutual recognition of power. I describe it to people. We embody both masculine and feminine energy. We see the men like Obama, the Jimmy Carters, the dads, right? Like the real good dads. Like, we see that they embody both masculine and feminine energy. We see women that embody both. The way that I've described it in the past is masculine energy, feminine energy is a higher consciousness. It's a connection to source, and masculine energy is everything that's in this earth, everything that's 3D, everything that the tangible items, the effort to get there. So if you think about it like an artist painting a picture, the image that the artist is channeling is the feminine energy. The masculine energy is the paintbrush, the stroke, the painting itself. Like, that's the feminine and the masculine working together. And we embody this. We want to have this healthy balance, and sometimes distorted masculine, I guess, like, so a nice balanced, divine masculine and feminine energy. But when we're distorted, our distorted masculine energy shows up, and this isn't all of us, men and women. It shows up as a brute. It shows up as aggressor, right? Looking for war, destruction, anger, right? Like just rage almost. Not really rage, but it's just like, I'm going to take down whoever I need to get in at the end goal, even if that, no matter what that looks like, right? Like, no honesty, no integrity. It's just about the end goal. Distorted female energy is being the martyr. Like, oh, nothing is ever going to get better. It's just, right? Like, it's just very Eeyore-like. So we've got these two distorted versions. We're either holding on to those distorted versions. What we're trying to do is hold on to both of the divine versions of that. And again, I still very much struggle with taming the distorted masculine energy. It gets riled up real quick. And when it does, to bring it back into balance, I tap into my divine feminine. I create, I meditate, I wear flowy clothing, right? Like I dance, anything to kind of bring that balance back in. And when I'm acting too much like oh no, woe is me, I leverage my physical strength. Maybe I'll get to the gym more. Maybe I'll try to lift some heavier weights. So I want to kind of switch gears now into modern communities and the political pulse. I recently saw this community of women, and I posted it on social medias. They living in these tiny houses on this like big group of land, side by side, from diverse political backgrounds, different beliefs, but united in strength. That's the Lilith era to me. Not waiting for protection, not falling into victimhood, but standing strong together, arm in arm, while still holding on to our own diversity. That's the only shift. That's also the shift I see in our political landscape. Women aren't the emotional voters. Men project us to be. We actually thrive under pressure. And I think that's exactly why so much change is bubbling up right now. Because when women stand together, we create something that can't be contained. I was thinking about it today when I was kind of prepping for the podcast, and I've done some protests at the Bridge Brigades here in New Hampshire. And I always find it so funny when, and you see it more than you'd think. Well, I don't know, maybe I don't know what you think, but like you'd see like a man driving and like a woman wanting like waving or beeping, like you could and like she's trying to beep, he's trying to swat her hand away, like totally divided household. Right there. That's just a side note. But honestly, I encourage more and more women to step into positions of leadership, step into school boards, in local government, in state seats, regardless of your political affiliation. Because let's be honest, we're so beyond the party of politics at this point. What we really need are human beings that know how to get shit done, that thrive under pressure in those roles. People who can hold space and make decisions that shape the rest of our lives. And history shows that when women are in these positions, societies thrive. So it's something that you've been thinking of, or maybe you've never thought of it. Maybe spend some time today thinking like, maybe this is how I can show up in this time in history. Maybe this is where this could be my part, is where I can get onto, again, some form of local government, in a state seat, on a school board, like any type of position of power, even if it's just like at your local, town level. So here's what I want to leave you with. We are in a Lilith era. We are remembering our power. We are reclaiming our space in our bodies, in our communities, in our stories. We are not fragile. We are not little ladies. We are creators. We are warriors. We are enduring and uncontainable. So I invite you to ask yourself, where are you refusing to be small? Where are you stepping into your strength? And how are you honoring the Lilith within you? All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Please check out the yoga studio schedule at sonuyoga.com or amandabryanTherapy.com. There's a link right there that will drive you to the yoga studio. You can also see my upcoming events that I have. I'd love for you to come join us in community, in strength, and in healing. And if this episode resonated, please share it with someone who needs a reminder of their power. And until next time, go strong, go wild, and don't you dare be small. And that's what she said.